Elyria, Ohio. Police go to raid a home and serve a warrant as part of what they called an ongoing criminal investigation. As you can see, they showed up rolling pretty deep. They take positions up in front of the door and prepare to enter. While that's happening outside, inside, Courtney and her 17-month-old Waylon, who has several health issues, he is on a ventilator, are just going about their day. Waylon is sitting on the floor watching Miss Rachel. Courtney is in the next room preparing a bottle for his feeding. That's when she says she hears what she describes as a very loud knocking at the front door. She does not hear them announce that they're police. She actually thought that it was a family member banging, kind of joking around. As she walks toward the front door, she sees police through the window, but before she can react, they come in. Courtney says they're smashing out windows, there's guns drawn, she's grabbed and put in cuffs, and in the melee, she says she sees the window to the room where her son was laying and smoke coming out of it. And she believes that a flashbang has gone off in there and that her child could very well be harmed. She begins crying to check on her child, and she claims that police seem very dismissive and uncaring about what's going on. Now, after what Courtney seems to describe as like a pretty long time, her son is brought out. Paramedics on scene check him. They use a stethoscope and say he sounds clear. She says he does not sound clear to her, and they do take him to a hospital just to be sure. A doctor at the hospital eventually diagnoses Waylon with chemical pneumonitis and a chemical reaction in his eyes, and with his pre-existing conditions, this complicates things, and his mother is understandably upset. Now, I feel at this point there's probably a few people who are saying, okay, sure, but why were the police there? What did they do to bring the police there? And the answer is nothing. The police were looking for someone who was a former tenant at that address, who hadn't lived there in over a year. And Courtney's aunt actually said on, she believes, 5 occasions, police had come to their address asking about this person, and she had informed them, that person doesn't live here any longer. I don't know who that person is. I've never met that person. Now, people started asking questions, so the police released a statement. This is from their Facebook. They said, during the tactical operation, 2 diversionary devices, commonly known as flashbangs, were deployed outside of the residence. These devices produce a sound and light that is noticeable in day or night conditions and are intended to distract the suspect's attention. They say they set them off outside. Do they think we've never heard of flashbangs? Do you know how a flashbang works? A stun grenade, also known as a flash grenade, flashbang, thunder flash, or sound bomb, is a less lethal explosive device used to temporarily disorient an enemy's senses. Upon detonation, a stun grenade produces a blinding flash of light and an extremely loud bang. They are often used in close quarter combat, door breaching, and riot control, typically to stun enemies or distract them. If you set it off outside, aside from a loud noise, how does that stun them? How does that really distract them? If anything, you're exposing the officers to the loud bang and flash of bright light that temporarily sort of blinds you, not the suspect inside the home. The explosion would be extremely muffled. The flash would be irrelevant. They're used for close quarter. They're tossed into a place because they go off and you can't hear and you can't see and you're disoriented. And they, therefore, police have an opportunity to come in and grab someone before they can grab a weapon or fight back, etc. It makes no sense to detonate it outside. And despite their less lethal nature, stun grenades are still capable of causing harm and can injure or kill when detonated in close proximity. Like, next to a baby on the floor. But they say they didn't set it off inside. They also say things like, after repeated announcements is when they entered. From the very first knock to them smashing in the door, it's less than 9 seconds. So, not a lot of time, especially if she's in another room, to process what's going on. And then they make it a point to say things like the child had a pre-existing medical condition. It's like something I expect an insurance company to say, like, your pre-existing condition is why whatever happened now doesn't matter, because you already had a condition. And the insult to injury is, Courtney says, she hasn't gotten so much as an apology. The closest they came was, we had the wrong house. And now, this child who was already struggling, already had a rough road ahead of him, has to deal with this as well. So if you would like to help this family, there is a GoFundMe. You could just go to GoFundMe and type Justice for Waylon, and it'll come up. Also, I'll tag Courtney's TikTok. If you're on TikTok, you could go to her page and that way see other updates, etc.